Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a steering wheel. So let's take a look at the media we're going to be using. Here's a steering wheel PNG. As you can see, in between the wheel and on the outside it's all transparent. So let's go ahead and bring this into our project. Now, first thing, let's open up the EVO wizard. Let's dock that, and now let's create an atlas. Let's call this my cool atlas, and we want to support the iPhone and the iPhone Retina. This will also work on other devices such as iPad or desktop or whatever, but this just means we specifically want to target the iPhone and iPhone Retina devices. Next, let's select our steering wheel texture. Let's choose a default resolution here of 640, which is the Retina resolution. Let's click Create Sprite Bundle. Now these default settings, these are all good. So now let's add our selection to my cool atlas. And now our atlas is ready. Let's click on Create GUI and choose my cool atlas for the GUI. And then select our main camera, and then we're going to add a 2D canvas because we want a 2D GUI here. So if we take a look here, make sure you select 2D canvas and then click Create Container, and then click Sprites, and then choose the steering wheel sprite. So here we go, we have a steering wheel on screen. Now you'll notice that the container is actually smaller than the sprite image right now. So if you just click Resize Container here, then that will be fixed. Next, we need to make this so when we click and drag it rotates. To do that, go to Add Component, EVO, Input, and then add the knob component. And you see, you get a warning that there's no collider added, so just click Fix, and now we have a collider. So now if we hit play and we click and drag, or if you touch on a touch device, you can turn the steering wheel. But you'll notice that it's very rigid, there's no smooth motion to it, and there's no limits to the rotation. And also if we let go of the wheel, it doesn't revert back to its original position. So let's go ahead and fix that. First of all, let's limit the angle. If you look at the knob component, you'll see a limit boolean value. If you tick that, then you see we have some options for the limiting. So right now it's limited to negative 90 degrees and positive 90 degrees. So if we hit play again, we can see we can only turn it 90 degrees either way. That's good. Now let's make it a bit smoother. To do that, let's change the elasticity from 0 to something such as 5. Now if we hit play, you see the rotation is much smoother now. Now all we have to do is make it so that the steering wheel returns to the neutral position when we release. To do that, just enable a magnet, and the magnet will automatically move the knob to a specific angle as if it were a compass. You can adjust the target angle here. We want it to be in the default angle, which is 0, so let's set the angle to 0. And elasticity, let's set this to say 10. Now if we hit play, we can drag the wheel, and now when we release, it returns back to the neutral position. Now you'll notice that if I click and drag inside the steering wheel, I can still drag it, and even on the edges. This is because the collider right now is a rectangle. Well, it's actually a square shape. We want this square shape to match the steering wheel's contours here. To do that, let's look at the collider component here. You'll see there's a shape field, and it takes a texture 2D. So if we grab our steering wheel texture and just drag it into there, and then we hit play again, now you'll see if I click and drag inside the steering wheel, nothing happens. I can only drag my steering wheel if I click and drag on the wheel itself. This is because the collision checking is now using this shape, and it's reading the alpha values from the texture. As you can see, the alpha here and on the outsides means that if I click in the alpha region, then nothing happens. The the mouse click or the touch input just passes right through the alphabets. So next, what happens if I want my steering wheel to do something? For example, if I want my steering wheel to turn the main camera. To do that, let's select the main camera. Let's go to Add Components. Let's go to New Script. So let's choose C# script, or if you use JavaScript, you can choose that. Let's call it steer camera, and let's open this up. And the first thing we need to do in our script is store a reference to the knob. To do that, let's make a public variable, public EVO knob. Here we go, let's call this my knob. Now if we save that script and go back, you'll see in the inspector we now have a knob field here. It's set to none right now. So if we just drag our steering wheel in there, in fact, let's rename the steering wheel. The default name here is Sprite, so let's just call it my steering wheel. And if we go back to the main camera, now we can drag the my steering wheel into the knob field. So now the steer camera script has a reference to the knob. If we go back to the script now, in update we want to turn our camera. So to do that, first let's make sure that knob isn't set to null, and if it's not, then let's go transform, rotate, and 0 on the x-axis, and we want to turn it left and right, which is the y-axis. So let's set the y rotation to my knob dot current angle, and we want to make this time based, so let's make it multiplied by delta time. So this means regardless of the frame rate we should turn at the same rate, and let's set the z rotation to 0. So now every frame we are rotating our camera. Well, it doesn't have to be a camera, it can be any game object, but any game object with this script will be turned depending on the knob angle, and that over time. So if we go back to Unity, let's wait for the script to compile. Now if we hit play, and let's move the scene camera out a bit so we can see what happens. So now if we drag the steering wheel and turn, you can see the camera is being rotated right and it's being rotated left here. So yeah, that's the basics of how to use the knob. You can also use this to do like volume controls. In fact, I'll show you one of the prepackaged demos that has that. So here we have the demo volume scene, and it's playing a looped music. Maybe you can't hear it, but you can increase the volume, decrease the volume, and you see the angle is limited here, and I read the current angle value to find the current value to set for the volume. So yeah, that's it for the knob tutorial. Have fun. See you next time.